mid-May 2020, and in this episode of Thoughts on Brand, I'm talking with headshot and personal brand photographer Michael Teo. Michael focuses on really getting to know his client's business, coaching them to get clear on their brand message, then working with them to get engaging, branded videos and photos to suit. I hope you enjoy this interview with Michael Teo and his thoughts on brand. Before we get into the interview, I just wanted to give a little apology and a word of warning. I've managed to mess up my audio to this interview. I was playing with settings before I got on the call with Michael, and I managed to cock everything up, so I'm super muffled. Luckily, Michael's side of the interview is still nice and clear, so please forgive me. I'm sorry, and I'll do better next time. All right, back over to the interview. Michael Teo, thank you very much for sitting down and taking the time to speak to me about brand.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. It's good to see you. We haven't chatted for quite a long time now. I'm Michael Teo. I am a photographer. I specialize in business to business, particularly headshots, personal branding, and business branding.
What's your favorite part about working with professionals? Is it?
I like that professionals tend to be very clear and focused about what they want. And I like the fact that there is a very defined process that people go through. I think that with domestic photography, it can be much more. There's more touch points. It's a little messier in the workflow, and I suppose it's a different level of conversation as well. So when you're talking to professionals, the kind of things that come up tend to be more about things to do with productivity. It could have to do with things around personal development. And I enjoy those conversations. It's really nice.
And my favorite thing is, I guess, that we all have a lot in common, because even though what we may be selling or providing as a service is different, we're all working, we're all doing the same thing essentially as well, whereas marketing and selling and all that sort of stuff. That's my favorite bit. You sort of get to talk, you have a shoot and you get to chew the fat on all this sort of stuff, and learn things from them and all that. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. We're all doing the same thing, but different stuff at the same time.
Definitely. And we have different perspectives on it too. So as people who, like when you meet, say, someone who's an accountant, they tend to be much more aware of things like processes and refining things, maybe obviously the financial side, but there's also the fact that they have much more awareness around systems and that kind of thing. If you speak to someone who's say in the legal field, they're much more aware of different things that you might be able to do, or like what obviously what's allowable. It's like that's sort of the surface level, but they may have greater insights into things that we don't as creatives. But as creatives, we tend to have a greater insight into things like finding solutions to problems that may not be obvious.
What is brand to you and its importance?
Brand is the sum total of the experience that someone has of you. So it's often maybe not misinterpreted, but limited to the way you look or the way that you like your logo and things like that. But for me, brand is everything. When whatever contact that the public has of you, with you, is part of your brand. So it would include obviously the way you look, but beyond that, it's the way you express yourself in writing, your phone manner, how timely you reply to messages or emails, the particular words that you'd use. So there's a big difference in the feeling created by saying, good afternoon, sir, how can I help you? As opposed to someone like, oh, g'day, mate, you're looking for a surfboard. And both are appropriate, but the question is which one works for your brand. And across everything, like your total communication with your audience, is it consistent? So the importance is that you should be giving one single clear message. There should be, like, if you're going to be the young guy selling the surfboards, you shouldn't be calling your client sir. Whereas on the other hand, if you're like a 3 Michelin hat restaurant, you shouldn't be calling your clients dude.
Ah, that's where I'm going wrong. Yeah. Not that I have a 3 Michelin restaurant, that mind. Let's just go on to the next question. Let's talk about brand and
Yeah.
So, how are you using brand within your business?
Do you mean to promote my own business?
So
or as a service that I'm providing to my clients?
We'll talk about the service for your clients. So, for this question, it'd be awesome if you sort of gave me an overview or a quick explanation of how you are using brand for yourself, I guess.
Well, I consciously created the Premier Branding website. So I have 3 main websites, and Premier Branding is the one that focuses on headshots and branding and business branding. And when I created that website, it was with a very, very clear target audience. So I thought I'm wanting to make this website communicate to white collar professionals. So I thought, I'm going to remove myself as a photographer and don't even think about what most photographers do, which is essentially make an online gallery.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what I want to do is focus on their experience, as in my client's experience, what they're concerned about, how I can solve their problems regarding communicating with their clients, increasing their engagement and connection with their clients, and how I can make that easier for them and make it possible for them. I suppose also that my overall approach is by looking at it from that perspective. So rather than looking at it as I'm a photographer and I have a technical mastery of composition and lighting and posing and evoking expression, post-production, all that kind of stuff, I kind of think, well, what does my client need and what skills do I have that can help them do that? And the way that I look at it is through brand. And I suppose also that there's that element of would you trust a person to help you with your brand if their brand isn't clear as well? Because if they're saying I'll help you with your brand and yet they've got a very mixed sort of message, then it may not be the person that
you'd want
that really understands what they're doing. Obviously there's also a certain self-curating that happens, which is kind of interesting because it creates a tension between being authentic and being on brand. So on one hand, it's like, well, I do want to be myself. I do want to share about myself. And on the other hand, there's aspects of not so much about me. So there's nothing, I mean, I'm not ashamed of sharing anything about me, but there's aspects of the way that I would share that may not necessarily be appropriate for the conversation.
And I guess, and your audience as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm looking at, I suppose I gave an extra, like that word conversation is key in the sense that I think of conversation, like we're having a verbal conversation now, but then there is a bigger conversation in the sense that there is an overall conversation between your business and another business, and the way that they relate to each other, through visuals, through video, through text, through social media posts, through the overall conversation as between two entities. And so that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah. How are you helping others with their brand? You've kind of probably touched on this a little bit.
Well, I like to make sure that my clients are really clear about what they are trying to communicate. And often they may be experts in their field, in terms of they may be experts in the area in which they're trained, but they aren't necessarily as clear about who exactly their clients are, what makes them different from other professionals in their field, what is their message that they want to get across to their clients. And so the way that I approach it is always starting from that point. I think there's no use me picking up a camera unless I know exactly who this person is. So I always want to start from that point.
Yeah. And how do you start? Like, what's your way in to sort of start getting to know them and things? Do you hook up with them for a chat, or is it a phone call? Actually, I guess it's a meeting, because I went through your system, didn't I, to book this interview?
That's true. That's true. So yes, it's always a meeting, and it's always the series of questions that I mentioned before. It may not be stated in that way, depending on what field they're in, but it's basically, who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? What problem do you solve for your clients or customers? What makes you unique or different? Why would someone want to do business with you? And what's your values? What do you stand for? And what's your message to your clients? And as soon as I've got all of that clear, then I can start to imagine, well, what would a visual look like that would communicate that? And I suppose there's also an aspect of getting my clients clear about what they actually do. So the interesting thing is, so I, as a photographer, if I think that I'm creating images, then I'm only looking at the means by which I'm actually doing what I'm doing. The funny thing is that I know that, like, my clients, your clients, any photographer's clients, particularly in business to business, they don't care for photos. What they really want is more clients. And the funny thing is, if we're going to go deeper, they don't really even care for clients. What they really want is profit. And so if they could have the profit without the clients or the photos, they'd be more than happy to go there. So I'm very clear on my own role. And I think, okay, if I am looking at the way that they are getting the profit, which is through their clients, and what they want is more clients, more qualified clients, clients that are more ready to buy when they get in touch with their brand, then I can create images that will communicate to that particular client. So if, like the example that I gave before, if we look at the two extremes of, like, let's say a surf shop and a fine dining restaurant, they have very different target clients. And so the way that you would communicate with each of those is very different. You'd have a very different visual style, a very different subject matter, different approach in terms of the way you'd light it, the way you'd compose it, the way you do your post-production. But that all stems from who they are, what they're doing, how they serve their clients. And once that's clear, it's almost as if the photographic process is it's all a downhill run, because you know exactly what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Yeah. And do you have to do you sometimes have to coach your clients so that they know that sort of stuff themselves, or do they sometimes they have an idea of who they're helping? Like how does that work out with you? Is it?
Most times I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you say go away and read this book?
No, I don't. The truth is though that some of them are unwilling to go there.
Okay.
So they will sometimes be like, all I need is look, I just need a headshot or something like that, and that's fine. I mean, I can create a headshot, and there are times, I'm sure you've experienced this too, where the service that you're providing them may not be exactly the one that is benefiting them, but it's the one that they're asking for.
Yeah.
And then you've got a bit of a dilemma. What do you do? Do you force them to see it your way, or do you just give them what they want?
Yeah.
Or do you turn them away and say, hey, look, I'm just not the right person for you?
Yeah.
And I guess in that case, what I usually choose to do is to think, okay, well, my aim is to serve you.
Yeah, serve them as best, not just to take their money with and give them a photograph.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And to to provide the greatest benefit for you, I'll do my best to help you increase your connection with your clients. But if you're not going to be open to that conversation, then I'll do for you what you ask.
That leads us nicely into the next question of what are the most common branding mistakes that your clients would have?
I'd say the number one would be being unclear and not knowing exactly the answers to all those questions I had before. So often they get caught up in their own ideas of what they should be doing. And there's a lot of shoulding, and there's also a lot of comparison with other people, thinking, well, they're doing that and that works, and these other people are doing something else and that works. Maybe if I kind of combine that together, and obviously those two other people may have completely different offerings, completely different audience, and just by picking and choosing bits from other people, it's not going to come up with a single consistent message.
Yeah.
I suppose another one is being sloppy about their message. So even though they might have a clear message, they will be clear in certain aspects of their branding, but then in other parts they kind of drop the ball, and it's like, well, this is, and it's not working to build a single strong brand, and so that most of it's kind of working, and then they're kind of dropping the ball with other things.
Yeah. You got any examples that you've seen of that? Like, I guess, what's that? Their website and some of the materials awesome, and then they portray themselves as something else on social media or something, is it? Or
well, that's one good example. A common one is where the tone of voice between their social media and their website isn't consistent. So like one will be really, let's say, inviting and friendly, and the other one will be really like hard and professional and clear cut. And so even though the overall message might be the same, it's almost like the communication style changes.
I feel like I probably fall into that actually as well.
I think we're all kind of guilty of it to an extent.
Yeah.
I think ultimately you just want to be as
human,
as authentic and genuine as you can, and be yourself, and still like still be professional, but be yourself.
Yeah. Tread the wire between being yourself and getting. I guess we're all, we're all trying to get clients, and I guess it is sort of treading treading the sort of fine line of not scaring them off, but being yourself. Although I suppose it's all about repelling the people that don't resonate with you as well. So yeah, it is a fine line.
Well, I suppose also the stronger your brand is, and I suppose this is another common mistake, is people trying to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
So the clearer your brand is, the more people are gonna love you, and the more people are gonna hate you. So the funny thing is that if you look at, say, in the music industry, the bands that have the most diehard fans are usually the ones that annoy parents the most. They really it's not just like, oh, okay, I'm not really so into that. It's the stuff where they're sitting there go, get that rubbish off. And they're the ones that have the most committed fans. And as a business, then you kind of want to do the same thing, in this sense of not annoy parents, but you want to be able to appeal to your target audience so strongly that anyone who is outside of that will just not get it, because the communication is so clear and specific to those people.
Yeah. Moving on from there then. Recommendations. Do you have any recommendations for those who are, still working on their own brand, self-curating their own brand?
First one would be to get really clear about what you do and who you serve and what makes you unique, and not to look at what other people are doing and try to copy it, because they are different people, they serve other people, and they have different things that make them unique. That would be the number one, is getting really, really clear.
That's pretty awesome. We all need clarity.
True.
Same. This goes to show how much of a professional I am. Going back to the other comment where I said, "Yep, I fall into there." I probably fall into this too. Like I feel like I've been working on getting myself clear for years. I guess maybe it's a work in progress. Who knows? How about, do you find that?
I don't know. I don't know that it is. Well, it's funny. Like, there is definitely various aspects to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like each person, like there's me as a photographer, but then there's me as a son, as a dad, as a husband. There's the part of me that might be more humorous, or the part of me that's more serious, and all of that kind of comes together to make a complex being. And it's the same with everyone. No, I could ask you the question. I could say, well, if you feel that you're unclear about who you are and what you stand for, what do you think, if I was to ask you, like, what 3 things would you want your clients to, like, if I was, like, even 3 words?
Yeah.
3 words that you would want your clients to either think or feel about you as a result of coming across you.
Yes.
What would that be for you?
Well, obviously I like the friendly seems to be something that sticks out, but also professional. So like, that's kind of almost there's a friendly and a professional. I don't want to be seen as friendly and goofy, like the hey dude in the surf shop. And
let's go with professional.
Well.
Yeah. let's not use professional.
What's that?
So friendly and approachable. Let's not use professional, because professional is a really, really vague one.
Yes.
Let's go with either a feeling or a thought.
Yes. Yeah.
So what would it be? So a friendly, approachable, and what would the last one be?
Maybe go blank now. Hey, I'm going to be asking you questions.
Well, if even if I go with those two, friendly and approachable, I could then ask you the question: if someone was then to go onto your website
Yeah.
or to go onto your social media or anything that has Tim Morrison name
Yeah.
attached to it,
Yeah.
would those two words come across from any part of it? So if it was any part of your website, whether it's the about page, your pricing page, your home page, would any aspect of it convey friendliness and approachability? And if not, then it needs to be changed.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, because the last few weeks on and off, I've been sort of rejigging my website to have a bit more of a push-pull story. Like I was, when I was setting up the call, I was telling you that I'd read or been reading the story brand, was it Marketing Made Simple, Donald Miller? I think it's
Donald Miller, yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been sort of jumping into that, and I've been working out my shtick, I suppose. And I've got some, I've put my words on there, but I kind of float back to wondering how much of me that is, and if it should be me, because I'm trying to create a story about the people that are reading it. But I guess then it also has to resonate with me, so that they resonate with me and want to book me. But yeah. Where did I go with this? How did we get there?
Well, it's actually like, I know that I have, like, I've really worked through a lot of that as well, like of Donald Miller's approach. And yeah, it does take a little bit of thought, because the funny thing is that we, as people, we don't want to exclude. We don't like excluding people and saying,
it makes you scared, doesn't it? It's like,
yeah, they're not my clients, or I don't serve those people. And it's necessary in order to define your own brand. You actually have to exclude.
Yeah, I guess it comes to abundance, isn't it? Like, really, that is like, if you're a bit scared of not being abundant, then you're scared of turning away those people that may probably not be a very good fit for you in the first place.
Yeah, and there's enough for everybody. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that we can serve, and we can't serve everybody. Like, literally, there is no way that one single person could serve the whole population. So then you have to think, who can I most benefit as well? Like, if I have a particular set of skills and experience and have a particular character, then who would that serve best? And why? You could almost look at it from the client's perspective and go, well, why would I want to offer anyone less than the best that I have to offer?
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of have to exclude, because you can't be the ideal person for everybody.
No, that's true. That's so true. All right, Michael, I think we're coming to the end of our session now that you've grilled me. I'm going to go.
I didn't mean to.
That's all right. It's cool. It's good. It's good. There's nothing like getting uncomfortable every now and then. Just to finish off, for anyone that's interested in chatting with you, or if they're in Melbourne, booking you, or or finding out more about you, how can they get in touch with you?
There's my headshot and branding website, which is premierbranding.com.au. My creative work is on my own personal website, michaeltio.com. And of course, there's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram.
All that other mess.
All that other stuff as well. All the links are on my website. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time and fighting your way through Melbourne's traffic twice, and then the tram to get to your studio. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, if you're listening, thank you so much again for sharing your knowledge with me and the Wellington Hustle community. It's very, very much appreciated. You're doing your clients a great service. I love the way that you have hosts of questions to really, really get to the crux of your clients' brands. I'm sure some of them don't really know what's hit them when you start asking them these questions, but it's all necessary to get you the information that you need to be able to best serve them. So good on you, man. For you, the listener, if you have anything to say, if you have any comments, or if you would like to tell us what your insights were from this interview with Michael, then please either leave a note in the comments below or head over to the interviews webpage, which you'll find over at wellingtonhustle.co. So when you're over at that webpage, you'll find links to anything that we discussed, maybe Donald Miller's books, Story Brand, and also Marketing Made Simple. They're probably something good for you guys to read. You should really check it out. If you want to get in contact with Michael or see his work, then you can also find that information at the interview article post. So that's wellingtonhustle.co, and then just click on Michael's interview and you'll get all the information there. For more videos from the Wellington Hustle project and Timsico, then please subscribe to this YouTube channel, or even better, head over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to the Wellington Hustle Interview Project podcast. That way you'll get any new interview straight to your podcast app of choice. Also, it'd be very much appreciated if you left a review, a 5-star one, of course, and that really goes a long way for others to find the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, keep on hustling.